Hey world, it's me, Elle. It's been a while. I'm so excited. I have so many amazing things going on right now. A lot to talk about, and I probably have to make a lot of different videos to go over it. But thank you so much for joining me. I know it's still really early, so I don't really expect a lot of people to actually watch this live video, but catch it on the replay. So I'm going to be on a panel today for Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth. And, coming from New Orleans, I did not really experience Juneteenth a lot until I came to Dallas. And I just want to remind people about Juneteenth. Juneteenth is like, to me, the epitome of showing how systematic racism affects Black people and the lack of us being taught our history and the things that really impact us. When I moved to Texas after Katrina, like around Katrina-ish, like around a little bit before, I took a Texas history class and I do not recall learning about Juneteenth. Usually, and Black people have always been saying this, when it comes to our history, we get the little snippet, the little paragraph about slavery. It doesn't go into the greatness that Black people have been before we ever came to this country, and then even downplays or waters down the contributions that we made. But to me, it really propels me to say, this is why we must educate ourselves. I was very fortunate when I went to the University of Houston. I took a lot of African American studies classes, and I really started to get that pride, the pride from slavery. And I know that sounds crazy because a lot of people are not proud of slavery, but people are like, well, why? I could never be a slave. They have like a whole Dave Chappelle sketch about I could never be a slave. But it's like, the reason why I find pride in it is because it's like, this was the worst type of slavery, like chattel slavery, and people went through tremendous things just to get here. Let's not even talk about slavery itself, but let's talk about the boat ride, right? Like, it was horrendous. And it's just like, but how strong Black people are. And they have a lot of people out here that say things like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And a lot of people don't know this, but Black people actually did. After slavery, despite the fact that we didn't have equal access to opportunities, despite the fact that they tried to still make us be slaves, even though we were free, and despite the fact in Texas it took 2.5 years for the message to get here that people were free, Black people still made a way when no way was made. And we had our own towns and our own cities and our own infrastructures. And a lot of people talk about the Black Wall Street and things like that. And a lot of uneducated people don't realize the reason why Black people have not advanced as further along than where we are currently is because every single time Black people did amass wealth, or Black people did amass like businesses and services and buy houses, some people just did not like it. And when I say some people didn't like it, because they felt like there was like these smear campaigns against Black people saying, oh, Black people is taking over the world and Black people is ruling white people. And I mean, literally, there's a link of an image in Charlotte newspaper where they had this whole smear campaign against Black people. And so then that's when they start making all the laws against us, saying Black people can't buy houses, the HOAs, Black people can't get credit, Black people can't do these types of things. And yet we still persisted beyond that. And then when as far as to redline where we live to make it to whereas Black people neighborhoods are now put as industrial zones, or our neighborhoods are now considered blighted, and they're paying the city is paying like 90 cents on the dollar to destroy Black homes, displacing Black families. And a lot of people don't know that part of the history. But despite the segregation, despite the slave codes and everything like that, we still continue to persist and to move. And that is the spirit of Black people even today. So from the panel that I'm on for Juneteenth, I'm going to talk about why Juneteenth. Like I mentioned, it's that whole thing about why talk about slavery. It's because white people, Black people, other people, nobody likes to talk about it. It's uncomfortable. Like I say, with the Dave Chappelle skit, and everybody's like, I could never be a slave. I couldn't do this. But it's like, why? Why do we talk about it? Not only just because of the systematic racism that still persists, that affects us today, but because we have to put it out there. And I know people feel like, well, I'm not to blame. I didn't enslave anybody. I didn't do any of this stuff. But at the end of the day, we still they still benefit from it, right? There is still the benefit that is there, and really, there is a veil of shame around it, around this country's past and also the present as well. And especially when you hear mantras and things like "Make America Great Again" and all this type of stuff, and for a certain demographic of people, we're like, well, when was it great for us, But I want to remind you that despite all of that, we still persevere and we still able to amass where we are today, but we still have a lot of work to do. So what I wrote is that, why do we talk about slavery? The answer is all the names. We know the significance of saying someone's names, right? Juneteenth is the celebration of all the names. Let me say that again. Juneteenth is the celebration of all the names of all the slaves. And to ignore slavery and to brush it underneath the rug and pretend like it does not exist, we are basically taking away the legacy of all of those people, all of the Black lives, all of the Black pioneers that were lost in the building of this country, of the United States, and of the world. And so Juneteenth as a celebration, but it's also the actualization of the persistent spirit of our enslaved ancestors. Despite years of slave codes, Jim Crow, segregation, police, and government brutality, the codes that governed us did not succeed in eradicating our humanity. They experienced the same passions as the masters or the others. We had the same type of joy, sorrow, love, hate, pain, generosity, greed, but also we still managed to have hopes and dreams. And when freedom came to Black people, and I say Black people, and Juneteenth is a celebration of all Black people finally being aware of the freedom from slavery, right? Which was 2.5 years later, because Martin Luther King said, listen, if we wasn't all free, we wasn't free. So that's the day we was all free. So that's the day we was free. So I'm gonna put it like that. But we celebrate their lives and the impacts of their names. As we continue to fight racial injustice today, we still must take the time to celebrate, to laugh, to rejoice, to love on each other, and to give thanks for our ancestors. Because right now, all the chaos, everything that's going on in the world, the pain, the hurt, the anger that we feel right now, it puts us in a mind state of, it's just the mind state itself. If you can actually talk about all the trauma, it's traumatic. I know people talk about having PTSD, but it really is, because you're seeing this every day. And this video, it's on video. There was a poet that said the revolution would not be televised, but the revolution is being televised, but it's not on TV. It's on your cell phones. It's on your Facebook. It's everywhere. And I feel that it's like you're bombarded with it. And then even people that you respect, people that you feel that are good people and things like that, it's like the levels of ignorance and the levels of even wanting to educate yourself and finding out more, even that's hurtful to us. And it's like, when you say how you feel, it's like for some reason our voices lack that credibility. Like, people are just not listening, because it's like, oh, well, this is the same song. Well, it's the same song because things have not changed enough to make it a different song. But despite of that, we still have to celebrate and rejoice and just love on each other, because we need more love for each other. We need more time to breathe, to not feel overwhelmed and just traumatized by this. We need time to celebrate all the things that we've accomplished, because we still have a long way to go. But the reason why I really feel like we need to celebrate Juneteenth is because we need to not forget. Let's not forget where we have come from and who we are. And I feel that because of some of that, when we have progress, when progress is made, people tend to forget. People's like, oh, we got the first Black president. But then what happened? People start to forget, and all these things start to rear their ugly heads again, right? People, desegregation happened and people start to move up. Now you're making a little bit more money, but it's still not equal. You're more comfortable, but conformity and comfort should not lead to complacency. So that's why we have to celebrate, so that we can remember, and we need to make it a point so that our kids can remember, and so that way they continue to fight on this journey, because the systems have been there for so long. It's going to take some time to really break it down, and we're going to have to break it down from every angle. And I know a lot of time Black people, we can't get on the same page because we all over the place. We're all like, but what about this? And what about this? And what about this? Yes, all of it. Let me say this. I agree with everybody. All of it, right? So we need to fix all of it. And if your sledgehammer that you have knocked down the side that you see, and if we all work collectively on the issues that we see and the issues that we're facing in our community, then guess what? we're going to make some change. Some things are going to happen, and we're going to be able to be more, we're going to be able to get closer to where we want to be and where we aspire to be and where our ancestors deserve to be, right? So when you guys are celebrating Juneteenth today, I want you guys to remember those, our ancestors, remember the slaves, because their dreams were stronger than their bondage, and they paved the way for Martin Luther King's dream and Obama's dream and our dreams today and our kids' dreams and the future dreams. And we just really need to remember that, and we need to give them homage. Like, we really need to be able to be proud of that, be proud of that human spirit. And so when you celebrate Juneteenth today, COVID ready, with your mask on, or whatever, you should be loud. Everybody say Black people loud. Be loud. Be loud, because our voices need to reach the skies. Our shouts, our jubilations, they should fill the atmosphere today, so that our ancestors, they can hear us and know that, we know the work that they did, and we aspire to continue that work. So eat a lot of food. Black people do love to eat a lot of food, healthy food, and things like that. We still got to be healthy so that we can continue with the fight. And as we celebrate, we should honor those names, the names that we don't even know. Like, and so much importance is in a name. Our names were the first things that we lost when we came to this country, when we were on those boats. And as an African American person in America today with the last name Williams, and there's like a million other Williams, and they all my cousins, and we all was on the different plantations, it's like we have to remember those unspoken names. We have to remember the struggles and the things that our ancestors went through. And yeah, we should be celebrating, we should be happy. And it shouldn't just be this year because of George Floyd, or it shouldn't just be, now it needs to be continued all the time. There was in 1978, after the civil rights, and I'm just going to educate y'all a little bit if y'all still watching, but after, civil rights, after the march, like around the time, when everything happened with Dr. King and all the laws started changing, and, the desegregation and things like that, people kind of got comfortable again, right? And we started to forget. And it's like, how many times are we going to have to go through the same situations over and over again to remember that we can't forget? Because even after Trayvon, even after all of the other names, Sandra Bland, and it's so many of them now, like, I feel like we could have a whole Holocaust museum filled with names of just Black people over the years, and we really could. And I do believe that they have something similar to that in Washington, D.C. at the African American Museum. But all of those names, they're significant. They're lives that helped pave the way for where we are today. And we cannot forget their names, just like we cannot forget George Floyd. We cannot forget everyone else. Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. We have to say their names. We have to celebrate. We have to use that. So that way, when you have a family and you have kids and you give them a name, the importance of their name and the significance of it and them being heard is going to be just as integral in our continued success and our continued ability to be where we to get to where we need to be. So I'm sorry, y'all, I got so passionate. I got so caught up in it because I'm so passionate about this cause. And I know, like, I make the post on Facebook, and I'm not trying to be like a Facebook protester and things like that, but I'm trying to educate people. But at the same time, I'm trying to let people realize you gotta do the work. Educate yourself. Like, we know they didn't teach us, they didn't teach us all of our history, because to know our history is to know our strength. So we have to do the work to find it. The books are there. So one of the things that I'm going to pledge to do is every day on my page until, I got a lot of stuff going on, but every day I'm going to try to post a different book that I've read or that I think is beneficial for us to read to help us get to where we need to be, to have that level of education, just to have that level of pride in knowing, the things that we've been through. One of the books that I'm reading right now, which I'm actually reading like 5 books right now, I'm always reading something if you know me, is, it's this book. It's called My Folks Don't Want Me to Know About Slavery. And basically it's talking about how my folks don't want me to talk about slavery. And the reason, and this is basically stories from actual slaves, people who were actually slaves, their parents were slaves, they grew up through this era. And they talk about how, as Black people, it's like we just work so hard to get ahead. Like, we just work so hard to be, to just continue to strive. Because if we got caught up in all the bullshit If we got caught up in all the things that they show us all the time and all the stereotypes and all the things that they say about us and all the things that's going around, we would be too broken to even accomplish anything. And I know we have that spirit of, okay, let's just move on. Let's just get past this. We doing this now. We doing that now. But we have to honor them. We have to say their names, because if we don't say their names, if we don't learn their struggles and their stories and the things that they did, then it's like, what do you have to build off of? We have to have a strong foundation. So this is one of the books that I'm reading. I have a couple of other books. I'm really big into Pan-Africanism, because I feel like our history did not just start as slavery, but it is a big part of our history, but we need to connect back as well. If you guys, want more books or things that you're interested in, let me know. But I want to say, everybody, happy Juneteenth. And even if you didn't know about it, I know the president thinks that he was telling people about it, but we knew about it. But even if you didn't know the history, just remind yourself, this is a great opportunity, a great learning experience for us. Let's not let it fall by the wayside. Let's continue to build even stronger upon these brands. And most importantly, let's remember those names, the names that we don't even know, the names of the people that were probably buried in unmarked graves and things like that after all the work and things that they've done to build the foundation of this country. To me, and not to get on another tangent, but I know I really felt some type of way about the whole Drew Brees situation, because it's that type of privilege of my ancestors or my past people. They fought for this country, and I don't want to disrespect this flag, but Black people fought for this country as well. We fought for this country in the Civil War. We fought for this country in the American Revolution. But we didn't have the same privilege to come back and to reap the benefits of the freedom that was felt. So with that being said, happy Juneteenth. I know this was a long one. Please watch it. I'll be back soon. And like I said, I'll be typing up some books and things like that. You guys have a wonderful day, and wish me luck on the panel. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful Juneteenth, and be loud and be proud. And, we still got work to do, but we're going to do it. We will do it. I believe it. And you guys have a wonderful day.